Christian Laettner is a name that sparks instant reaction. Some remember him as a college basketball legend, others as one of the greatest players in NCAA history, and other people recall him as one of the most polarizing athletes ever. This guy that everyone loved to hate. But beyond the cheers, boos, and the famous Duke uniform, the question remains, how good was Christian Laettner actually? In this video, we're going to break down Laettner's career from his dominance at Duke, to his time with the Dream Team, to his complicated NBA legacy, and we'll separate myth from reality and figure out where he truly stands amongst basketball's greatest players. Start with Duke. Before Laettner ever played a professional game, he was already a household name. His college career at Duke wasn't just good, it was historic. From 88 to 92, Laettner played for Coach K, the Blue Devils, during one of the most successful four-year runs in NCAA history. In an era before one-and-done players, Laettner became the face of college basketball. Tough, skilled, confident to the point of arrogance. At Duke, he won 2 NCAA championships, 91 and 92, appeared in the Final Four 4 times, and won Most Outstanding Player of the 91 tournament, and became the all-time leading scorer in NCAA tournament history, a record that still stands, mind you. That last stat alone is kind of ridiculous. Over 4 years, Laettner played in 23 tournament games and averaged just over 18 points a game per game, while shooting better than 58% from the field. Now, think about that. The best players today might play 6, maybe 7 tournament games in their entire college careers. Laettner did it 4 years straight and deep into the Final Four each time. But it wasn't just his production that made him special, it was the moments. He hit some of the most iconic shots in basketball history. The shot against Kentucky in 92, Elite 8, with 2.1 seconds left in OT. Grant Hill threw a full court pass. Laettner caught it, turned it, hit a turnaround jumper at the buzzer. The shot didn't send Duke to another Final Four. It cemented Laettner as a college basketball legend. What made Laettner so effective in college wasn't just size or skill, it was versatility. At 6'11", he could shoot from the mid-range, had elite footwork, and could post up smaller defenders or drag out big men from the paint. He was a prototype for the modern stretch big decades before that term existed. Let's not ignore his mental edge. Laettner was ruthless, cocky, physical, and always talking trash. He got under opponents' skin, and fans loved to hate him for it. That swagger made him the perfect villain in college basketball, but it also just masked how technically sound and intelligent his game really was. By the time he had left Duke, he was arguably the greatest college player to ever play. And statistically, that argument still kind of holds weight. Now, he spent some time with the Dream Team, and that's often forgotten. He was the only college player selected for the 92 Dream Team. Let that sink in. He was chosen over future NBA icons like Shaq or Alonzo Mourning, and that kind of means something. At the time, Laettner's selection made perfect sense. He just won back-to-back national titles, was the National Player of the Year, and symbolized college basketball excellence. Coach K lobbied for him, and he fit the image of a clean-cut, polished player who represented the sport's best amateur talent. Let's be real, Laettner didn't exactly play much on the Dream Team. He averaged about 4 points a game in limited minutes, but being there mattered. He practiced alongside Jordan, Magic, Bird, Barkley, some of the best players to ever play. That experience gave him early exposure to the NBA's physicality, professionalism, and the pace. And though some fans still debated whether Shaq deserved the spot more, Laettner's presence on the greatest basketball roster ever assembled was a reflection of just how highly he was regarded in that time period. Then the big question. Could Laettner's dominance at Duke translate to the NBA? Drafted 3rd overall in 92 by the Timberwolves behind Shaq and Alonzo, both future Hall of Famers, the expectation was that Laettner would become a franchise cornerstone. And to be fair, his early years were pretty promising. In his rookie season, he averaged 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game. Strong numbers for a first-year player on a strong lead team. He showed range, could pass from the high post, and played with confidence. Over his first few seasons, Laettner continued to put up solid numbers, even in an All-Star selection in 97 while with the Hawks. He wasn't a bust by any means. He was a legitimate starting power forward in the league for decades. So why does NBA career often get dismissed? The problem wasn't production. It was expectation. Laettner entered the NBA with sky-high hype. People expected him to be a superstar, maybe even the next Larry Bird type player. But his skill set, while versatile, didn't translate into elite dominance at the pro level. He was good at many things, but not great at any one thing. He could shoot, not like Dirk. He could rebound, but not like Barkley. And he could defend, but just not like Rodman. And there were personality clashes. Laettner's fiery, confident attitude that fueled him in college didn't always sit well with NBA teammates. Gained a rep for being difficult, intense, moody, and sometimes arrogant. Some locker rooms couldn't handle that, especially when his star powers didn't quite match his ego. His career became one of the most steady contributions rather than superstar moments. He bounced around the league, playing for 6 different teams: Timberwolves, Hawks, Pistons, Wizards, Mavericks, and Heat. By the time he retired in 2005, Laettner had averaged 12.8 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 2.6 assists per game over 13 seasons. This is respectable, but far from what people expected from the best college player of all time. So what happened? How did the most decorated college player of his generation become remembered more for his college days than his pro career? Well, there's a few key reasons. First, athleticism. Laettner's combination of size and skill made him nearly unstoppable. But in the NBA, everybody's his size, and many of them were faster, stronger, or more explosive. His lack of elite athleticism made it hard to dominate like he did in college at Duke. Number 2, role changes. In college, Laettner was the guy. Every play went through him. In the NBA, he became a complementary piece. Wasn't the primary scorer anymore, and his numbers adjusted accordingly. Third, injuries and inconsistency. Laettner dealt with several nagging injuries throughout his career that limited his explosiveness and mobility. Combine that with his constant team changes, it's hard to find rhythm or continuity. Fourth, public perception. Let's face it, Laettner's image from college followed him everywhere. The arrogant Duke guy, stereotype stuck. Fans loved to hate him, and even in the NBA, he couldn't escape that reputation. It became part of his legacy, both a curse and a badge of honor. But here's a twist. When you strip away the expectations, Laettner's NBA career was actually pretty good. He wasn't a superstar, but he was productive. Intelligent player for over a decade, and something most first-round picks can only dream of. He had seasons averaging near 20 and 9. He helped teams reach the playoffs multiple times, and his IQ is pretty elite. Teammates and coaches consistently praise his understanding of spacing, passing, and positioning. The problem wasn't that Laettner wasn't good, it's that he wasn't great enough to match the myth of Christian Laettner, the Duke legend. Christian Laettner's story is unique in sports because it's defined as much by emotion as it is by his performance. He was loathed by opposing fans, the ultimate villain. He once famously stepped on a Kentucky player's chest during a tournament game and somehow still finished that game as the hero. That guy could hit the winning shot and get booed by doing it, but over time, that hate turned into respect. In 2015, ESPN documentary I Hate Christian Laettner dove deep into why he was such a polarizing figure, and it revealed something important. Laettner actually wanted that role. He understood that being the villain made the game more intense, more emotional, and he thrived on it. That's something few players could actually handle. In retrospect, his legacy looks a little bit different now. College basketball history is untouchable. Only a handful of players, Bill Walton, Kareem, maybe Patrick Ewing, even come close to his level of dominance. In the NBA, he's remembered as a solid player whose success didn't match the hype, but still had a long, respectable career that most players would envy. In terms of influence, Laettner helped define what it meant to be a winner in college. His competitiveness, mental toughness, and clutch performances set the standard for Duke's program for decades to come. Final verdict, was he good? Really? And if so, how good was Christian Laettner actually? The short answer depends on what version you're talking about. College Laettner? Elite, one of the best to ever do it. Resume unmatched, 2 titles, 4 Final Fours, most points in tournament history, and some of the most iconic moments ever. If you built Mount Rushmore of college basketball players, Laettner's face is carved in stone. If you want to talk about NBA Laettner, he was good, but not great. Consistent starter, one-time All-Star, a guy who could give you double figures every night. And that's more than most players achieve, but far less than what was promised. Legacy-wise, he's something slightly rarer. Unforgettable. Love him or hate him, you remember Christian Laettner, and that says a lot. He's one of my favorite players ever, and I was born in 97. I didn't really get to watch a lot of him. My dad brought him up a lot, said he was one of the best college players to ever play, and obviously, the more I did research for this video, I learned that. Few players have ever been as polarizing, successful, and psychologically tough as he was. His career might not have reached the Hall of Fame level, but his impact on basketball culture, undeniable. In a way, Laettner represents 2 sides of greatness, the achieved and the expected. He achieved more in college than almost anybody, but the expectations that followed him became impossible to match. But that's the paradox of Christian Laettner, the legend who never quite lived up to his own myth, yet still walked away as one of the most iconic players the game ever saw. So what do you think? Is Christian Laettner underrated in the NBA or overrated coming out of college? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into ball history, like the video, subscribe, hit that noti bell for more breakdowns every week. Thanks for watching, and remember, legends aren't always defined by their stats alone. Sometimes it's a story that makes them great.